guys, welcome to Saturday morning stream. I decided that I'm going to stream a little bit earlier, so I'm starting my stream an hour early. I was looking at the next block and I'm like, you know what, I really want to try to finish the whole block in a stream. So I'm going to try to finish the whole thing, and then tomorrow I can work on another block. That way I've got 3 blocks done, so when I get back from my Gen Con, Dragon Con stretch, I can finish that 4th block and get it together and get it finished. Because I was looking at a lot of my upcoming commissions. I've got the charity quilt, I've got all sorts of things, so I want to make sure that A, I have enough time to restock for New York Comic Con, and B, I can get those commissions done. So, I'm early. Today, we're going to be working on block number 2 for the horror quilt. I've got it up on the left-hand side of what it's going to look like. Yesterday, we worked on Michael. So, here is Michael, and here is finished Michael. So you can see from my pattern to what it then looks like here. So my patterns, I try to translate them, and so they translate pretty well onto there. So I've got Michael finished. So let's take him and set him aside. Alright, so today I'm going to be working on Freddy. So Freddy is the same size as Michael, bottom left. So Freddy's also got the funky little, small little standalone on the bottom that Michael did. So let me move him over. And I haven't cut anything because yesterday I wanted to teach a little bit about rotary cutting, and I left the mic off for the first 30 minutes. So I'm going to redo that again today, and I'm going to teach you some basic rotary cutting. So if you have bought any of my patterns, or if you just want to learn rotary cutting, there's 2 different ways to do it. Now there's also the fabric cutting machines, Sizzix and AccuQuilt. I'm a Sizzix person, love Sizzix. And so if you're thinking of doing a machine, Sizzix is the way that I would go. Now, let's say if Sizzix doesn't have a die you like, if AccuQuilt has a die, they interchange. You can use the dies on both machines, so it's not a problem. But for today, we're going to do rotary cutting. We're going to do 2 different ways. We're going to learn basic traditional rotary cutting, which is using a straight edge, and then rotary cutting using the stripology ruler, which I'm in love with. So yeah, I'll go over that with the stripology ruler when I get there. So let's do basic rotary cutting. So I'm going to leave these last for the stripology ruler. So let me cut these. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to need this. I will need that. Put that up there. Okay, so I've got dark, light, red. All right. Most of these fabrics that I'm working with today are the Moda marbles. I do have 2 batiks that I'm using, and that I'm mixing in with the Moda marbles, because I love the Moda marbles, but they didn't have the green and then the darkish salmon color. Well, they have them, but I don't have them. So that's why I'm doing the batiks to fill in. All right. So traditional way of rotary cutting. You have 2 different ways that you can that I could rotary cut this. I can either use my long straight edge along the edge, or the way that I like doing it, I like to fold it in half and use my short straight edge, which is over here. So basic rotary cutting. First thing you want to do is you want to actually square it up. So we're cutting off the very end of it. So this is nice and smooth. I'm going to be lining it up along the fold. So let's take the fold and let's actually line it up here so I know my fold is straight. Does not make a difference if this down here is perfectly straight or not, because we're using the fold. So let's trim our edge so we know this is perfectly straight. So I'm actually using my grid on my cutting mat to do that. So that's trash, because that's squaring it up. Alright, so from the light salmon color, I need let's see, I called that one, yep, I called that one salmon. Okay, so I need 1 3.5 and 2 2 inches. So how I'm going to rotary cut this is I'm using my straight edge. It has my numbers here. I want a 3.5 inch strip. So I'm going to look over to the 3, and then in the middle of the 3 and the 4, you've got a grid. This grid means a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, and 3/4 inches here. And I'll show you on this camera. So you have the different markings inside the numbers. Saturday morning, I can't think. So you've got markings within the numbers. So I'm going to go halfway between the 3 and the 4, and then I'm going to line that halfway grid up to the left-hand side, and I'm going to line it up along the top. And I'm holding my hand on my straight edge. I'm not holding it over my straight edge. That's how you cut your fingers off. Don't do that. Hold it on the straight edge. Press down, and just like I did, your rotary cutter should be almost at a 90-degree angle. Some people like to bring it up a little bit. I like to try to have it at a 90-degree angle, and then you rotary cut through. So here's my 3.5 inch. So we'll pick that up, set that aside. Now we want a 2. I need 2 2-inch ones. So, same thing. Along the 2, I'm making sure that this line lines up here, and it lines up here. If it does not line up at both the fold and the edge, you need to square it up again. It means you have not squared it up enough. So, 90-degree angle, I'm holding my straight edge, and straight down. So there's 1. And then 2. All right. And that is all I need from this fabric. There we go. And I'm just going to set that aside because I do need that fabric, I believe, for another square. Yes, I will need that fabric for another square. All right, and now for the red. Now the red, I'm going to need 1 3.5. Really? And only 1 2. I thought I needed more than that. Nope, just 1 3.5 and 1 2. Now, if it's on the bolt like this, make sure that you take off enough fabric so that you can work with it and you're not fighting the bolt. When my fabric gets low enough and it's not massive, I put it on my half bolts, which is what that stack is over there. All right, so we're doing the same thing. We're doing traditional rotary cutting. So first thing I need to do is I need to square it up. Now, this is the biggest problem that I don't like with traditional rotary cutting. You see how I keep moving all of my stuff over here? I keep pushing it because I have to make sure that my area that I'm working with over here is wide enough so I can actually use the ruler back and forth. Alright, so let's square that up. And I said I needed 1 3.5 and 1 2. So there's 2 ways to then go and do it. As you saw before, the one way is to completely pick up and remove the strip. The other way is to then take what you're moving, take the extra over here and just slide it over. And then you can move on. The biggest thing you don't want to do is touch this area here. Because if you touch this area here, it may get a little wonky, it may get out of sorts a little bit, and then you have to re-square it up again. Okay, so there's red. And I believe I do not need red for any other blocks. I believe red is only for Freddie. Yep. So I can put red completely away over on my bookcase. Okay, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with the regular straight edge. Ever since I've started using the Stripology ruler, I can't use anything else. It is just amazing. All right, so I'm going to talk about these rulers a little bit. So, first to market for this type of ruler was the June Taylor, I think. If there's another one that was first to market, I'm not sure, but this is the first one that I saw that I made aware of. I use this one a lot for my t-shirt quilts with squaring them up. It is a fantastic ruler. It's basically, the way that it works is that you put this on your fabric, you line it up with these lines, you put your rotary cutter in this little divot right here, and you rotary cut up through here. The rotary cutter's not going to move at all. There's no way that you can cut your fingers unless you put your fingers over top of it. It's a good ruler. The drawback to this ruler is they're only whole numbers. There are little so it's got the centimeters as well as the inches, which is nice. But there's no halves, there's no quarters, there's nothing else, it's just whole numbers. So this is a good one. I still use it. It's really nice. This one, I honestly do not know how long the Stripology ruler has been around. I was not made aware of it until May, when I accidentally sat in on a demonstration. At Quilt Market, you actually get a chance to talk to manufacturers, fabric designers, things like that, and there's about 15 that go on at the same time, and you have to decide what is more important to you, which ones do you want to see. Well, I was meant to go see another one, which was in the room next door, and when I realized I was in the wrong room, I'm like, I don't want to move, I'm just going to sit here and listen to this one. They're only like 15-20 minutes long, and it was the I can't remember her name, the lady that designs these. She was talking about the Stripology ruler and this and that, and the more she talked, I went, I need to get me one of these. They are a little pricey. They are right now $55. On August the 18th, they're going to $60. You cannot ever get them for less because there is a thing that you sign as a dealer that says you will not ever sell these for below MSRP. So if you look at Etsy, if you look at stores, wherever you look, they will be the same exact price. So right now they're $55, in 6 days they're going to $60. But worth every penny. It is worth every single penny. I love this thing. So the difference between this and the one I just showed you, there's a couple different differences. There is a grip that's on the back that actually holds the fabric, so there's less chance for the fabric to slip. There are half numbers through here. So you've got, you've got 0, you got a half, you got 1, half, 2, half. Also, there's a little key at the bottom. If you just want to make 1.5 inch cuts all the way through, you follow all the stars. If you want to make 2.5 inch cuts all the way through, which is the normal strips for jelly rolls, you follow the squares. So it's a really nice intuitive ruler. So it's really, really nice. So this is what I'm going to use for cutting everything else. So I'm going to do black last. First, the eyes, I only need 1 2.5 inch strip. So you know what? I'm actually going to use my regular ruler for that because I only need 1 2 inch strip, and that's it. In fact, I really only need a half. So I'm going to cut this in half, and then not using this green for anything else in this quilt. And putting that away. Okay, so now I'll show you the ruler. So with my dark salmon, lay your fabric out. So again, it's folded. Mine is on a half bolt. You can also do the same thing I did with the full bolt and fold it over. If you use the Stripology ruler, at this point, you lay out the Stripology ruler. Now, remember, the biggest thing that I did not like about regular cutting was that all the space over here, it kept moving over. You don't have that with the Stripology ruler. So what I need to do is I'm lining up the fold along a white line that's right here, and then I'm making sure that I can see all my fabric to the left side of that 0, because this is going to square it up and cut all of your columns, your strips of fabric at the same time. So I'm going to hold this. I'm going to square my fabric up with a 0, and then dark salmon. What do I need? I don't need any 3.5s. I only need 1 2-inch. That's it. Yeah, because I needed Yep, that's it. That's all I needed. But that's okay. I showed you how it worked. Alright, so let's put this away. I will need this for another part of my block. So I will put that right up there. Yellow. Okay, this is where I'm going to actually show you the Stripology ruler. So, here is some yellow that I had before. Alright, my yellow. I need 2 3.5s and 1 2-inch. Okay, so I'm opening up all my fabric. Let's put our Stripology ruler down. Alright, so I line up the fold with that top white line. I'm making sure there's enough fabric over here past the 0, and I'm going to cut at the 0. And I said I needed 1 3.5. No, 2. I need 2 3.5s and 1 2. So I'm going to go into the 3.5 mark. And again, press the ruler down. Oh, hi, Camel. How are you today? So you're pressing the ruler down. Don't move the ruler around. Don't put your fingers over top where you're going to rotary cut. I had a friend of mine that cut the tip of her finger off. Don't do that. So notice, okay, I'm cutting here at the 3.5. My fingers are going all the way to the left of that, nowhere near where I'm cutting. So there's a 3.5, there's a 7, and there's a 9. So that gives me 2 3.5-inch strips and 1 2-inch strips. So there is, now this is the only thing with the Stripology. Sometimes I don't cut all the way through the fabrics. So that's why I got my scissors. So there's 2 3.5s and 1 2. So this, for me, I am a much, I love the emotes. I am all about efficiency. So the Stripology for me, so much more efficient, so much better. Alright, so I've got that one. Now the only one I have left is black. Let me double check my count. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yep, oops, there it is. I'm looking for my piece of metal. And that goes up there. Alright, now black. Oh, I've got those, that's right. Alright, am I doing black and white? Nope, white and black, nope. Okay, those are for another block. I need 3 3.5-inch for the black, and 1 2 3 4 5 2 inches. So you know what? That's a lot of black. I'm gonna get another bolt. And if you have a full bolt, you can still use the Stripology ruler, and I'll show you how. And again, I'm not sponsored by this ruler. I paid for it. They did not give it to me for free. If I am ever sponsored by a company, I will tell you, and I will put their logo up on my little thing. So you know that either I got something for free, I got a discount, I got something. And I will be upfront and tell you guys that. So I just am in love with this ruler. If you are a quilter or sewer and you need to cut strips, I love this ruler. Okay, so we're, again, folding it in half. Lining the fold up along one of my lines up here. And let's put the ruler down. Now, I said I needed 3 3.5. 1 2 3 4 5 2s. Alright, so let's cut the 3.5s first. So I've got it lined up, and again, there's nothing pushing over here like it was doing with the other ruler. So I've got 0, so I've got 3.5s. 1, 2, 3, and then I said 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm at 10.5, so I'm going to go 12.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it only goes to 20, and I need one more. Sorry, I was rude. That's not rude. That's funny. It's like, what are you doing? 1, 2, 3. 1. Oops, I need my scissors. I didn't cut through all the way. 2, 3, 4, and I'm just going to use my regular, that way I don't have to put my stripology ruler all the way down. If you're just cutting 1 or 2 strips, regular's fine. 5, there we go. And I've got all my strips cut now for Freddie. There we go, and I'll put that one away. I like to put my fabric out of the way when I don't need it because I have a very small work area. All right, so I'm moving these out of the way. For now. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is cut these solid color pieces, which I will need the stripology, I just put it away, I will need the stripology ruler for. So, let's go black first. The fastest and easiest way to do this, yes, it's working. The fastest and easiest way to do this is to do a couple of strips at the same time. So I am ironing the black. No, I haven't banned you. And remember, I do upload these to YouTube. So if at any point, if you're like, oh wait, how did she rotary cut? What did she do? How did she do that? Make sure that you check that out, because you can go back and rewatch everything. So, efficiency. Remember, I'm all about speed and efficiency. So I've got my first strip. Here is my second strip. So I now have 4 layers of fabric there. And my third strip. So I'm lining all of my strips up. And so I actually have 6 layers of fabric in here. And then, move these out of the way, I'm going to line them up along one of the horizontal edges. Pull the stripology ruler out. Oh, I put it right there. And instead of lining it up along the fold, now I want to take this thick white line and line it up along the bottom. There you go. So I've got that lined up right here. So the black line is right here, the thick white line is down there. I'm cutting off my selvages, always squared up. So cut at the 0. And then I need 7 6.5-inch pieces. Well, I just have a single one like that. Okay, so I'm going to do, there's 6 6.5s. I need 6 3.5s. So 1, 2, 3.5 is at the 10. And then I need 10 2s. So I'm going to go 12, 14, so that's going to give me 12. So I'm going to take 2 away and use for a future block. And I just need 1 more of these 6 1/2s. So I'm going to take 1 of these, square it up, 6 1/2, so I have 1 for a future block. There we go, and I'm going to set this stuff aside. And already, because I layered it and I used that ruler, I'm done cutting my black. So people always ask all of the time how I'm able to get through these quilts as fast as I do. This is why. I'm able to find ways to be efficient. Okay, so yellow. I have 2 strips, so I'm going to go through 4 layers and cut 4 at a time. And then I've got some extra from the previous block I did yesterday. Yeah, honestly, the trolls do not bother me at all because, again, my stream is a teaching stream. So I want to encourage sewing, I want to encourage quilting, as long as people are not disrespectful, rude, and break the agreement of swearing, you are fine. Alright. I need 6 6 1/2s, so I have 4 right here already. So there's 4. Did I cut? Let's see, is this one at least 6 1/2? Nope, that's 6. Okay, so I'll have to cut another one later. Alright, and then I need 9 3 1/2s. Now I have 1 3 1/2 from before. So I'm at 6 1/2, so I need 1 2 3 1/2. So there's 10. So that's 4. There's another 4, that's 8, and then that one there's 9. And then I need 2, which I have right here. So I only need 2 more 6 1/2s. So I'm just going to take one of these away. And I'm going to actually do it starting at the 10. That way I don't have to move anything around and cut 16 1/2. That's it. So there's 6, 4, 8, 9, and then 2. So these are all extra for the next one. Nope, I won't need this. Here we are, there's yellow. Alright, now the red. Please, please, please make sure you iron your strips before you cut. You need to make sure that there's no wrinkles. When I first started quilting and sewing, I made the mistake of just cutting everything right away, and I didn't iron it to get all the wrinkles out. What that does is it warps your fabric and your cut, so that when you do iron it, your piece is not exactly the size that you want it to be. Alright, so for red, I need 3 3 1/2s and 11 2s. So remember, I'm cutting 2 layers at a time. So there's 2, 4. I'll just take 1 away, and then I need 11, so I'll cut 6. 2, 4, 6. And I'll take 1 away, take 1 away, and I think red, nope, this is the only time I'm using red, so the rest of this is going in my scraps. right. All right, and then I just have the salmon. Sometimes they're really wrinkly and I've got to iron both sides. There we go. And salmon, I need 2 3.5s and 1 2. So there's 2 and 1. I'll take one of these away. And I believe I am using this. Yes, this is going to also go in the Leatherface block. And that's it. I've cut all my solids already. Alright, so let's figure out which of the 2 inches. So all the patterns that I do, whether they're for commission, whether they're my pattern line, everything. I do everything by 3.5 inch and 2 inch strips. Everything. So I've done all the 3.5s, so now it's time for the 2s. So I need 1 teal and black. Well, technically a half teal and black. So there's my teal. Let's cut a black in half. Oh, hi, Zeal. Mental notes of every little trick you give in your... Yes. And like I said, I upload everything to YouTube. So if you... now, at this point, we're doing the next part, because you've got your own fabric. You didn't get a kit. I do everything to YouTube. So if you want to go back and watch all of this again, you can. So that's one of the reasons why I do it. And that's why there's no music on my stream. I learned the hard way with YouTube that they consider that copyright infringement, and they will mute my stream because of some songs. So, no music. Alright, so I've got that together. The next one is 1 black and red strip. So, there's red, there's black. Then I need the yellow and black. So yellow, black. And then I need a half light red and half salmon. So it's actually, even though it's light salmon, dark salmon. Yeah, and like I said, if you start streaming again, if you stream making the happy puffball pattern, let me know. I'd love to see it. And feel free to pop in my stream anytime to ask any questions if you get stumped on anything or have questions on anything. And there we go. And then light red with black, which is the dark salmon. And that is a half and a half. Thank you. I appreciate the comment about being interesting, even though I don't have music. Well, and plus I talk all the time. All the time. And then salmon with black. So salmon with black. So I have an extra black that I didn't need, because I cut one of them in half. Fantastic. Alright, let's sew these babies together. Alright, when you are sewing, if you have a 1/4 inch piecing foot, fantastic. If you don't and you need to get a 1/4 inch piecing foot, make sure you get one with the guide. And I'll show this to you close up over here. So this is a 1/4 inch piecing foot that I use. It is fantastic because this piece of metal right here is called a guide. So it's 1/4 inch piecing foot with guide. What this does is, as I'm sewing my fabric, as long as the edge of my fabric touches this piece of metal, I'm sewing a perfect 1/4 inch seam. I never have to measure my fabric. I never have to look and say, oh, there's the 1/4 right there. I've got to move it there. There's none of that. There's also little sticky things that you can put on your machine so you're getting that perfect seam. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff because my foot has got it on there. All right, where is my scrap? Oh, hey, look. Can you tell I was doing binding earlier? I forgot a clip. There's my scrap. I chain quilt. So what that means is I have something constantly going in my sewing machine. And I always start with a scrap fabric. Chain quilting does two things. Number one, it's fast. All about fast and efficient. In fact, if you haven't watched a stream before, me talk about my charity stream, when I hit 500 followers, when I hit 500 followers, I'm going to do a charity stream showing that you can do one of my designs in a day. So I'm going to start at the very beginning, go to the very end, cutting, piecing, pinning, quilting, binding, all in the same day, and all the money is going to go to charity. And then people that donate get a chance to win the quilt that I make. And so it's all about efficiency and speed. So the chain piecing is super efficient. It allows you to move at a fast pace. But what it also does is it locks in your threads. So if you put something in a sewing machine and you start sewing, you may notice at the very end that the seam comes apart a little bit, unless you really kind of lock it in there. You don't have to worry about that with chain sewing because that part has already happened to a piece before, to my scrap piece of fabric. So when it starts on what I want to sew, those seams are locked in there. So it locks my seams and it's super fast. When you sew your strips together like this, there's no seams, so I don't have to worry about any pins. So you don't have to pin your strips. Just put your strips together, throw them in the machine. And I'll show you how I'm holding this and how I figured out how to put the strips in on the next one. Okay, you notice how I wasn't pulling at all. I let the feed dogs do their work and pull the fabric for me. All I'm doing is I'm guiding it to make sure those two fabrics are lining up nicely, so it's not slipping either way, so they're nice and lined up, and guiding it. So, how I figure out which strip goes on top. Let's measure them. My black strip is longer than my salmon strip. So, my salmon strip is going to go on top. And that's because as you put your fabric into the machine and start sewing it, it's going to stretch that top fabric just a little bit. Efficiency. I want to get the most out of it as I can. So I want to put that smaller fabric on top, the shorter fabric. That way get that little bit of stretch and it almost comes out. Whenever you're putting it in the machine, you lift up your presser foot, put the strips right up against that needle and right against that guide, and then put it back down again. When you're sewing the strips, how you make sure that they line up nicely is I do this. I put my pointer finger between the two strips of fabric. I have my thumb on top and the rest of my fingers on the bottom. And then what this allows me to do is move this fabric back and forth so that it stays lined up. Now at this point, I'm actually using the back to guide it through to make sure it's straight. And that's it. And I've got sewn my strips together and I'm almost halfway through. Speaking of giveaways, that Thursday stream was fun. Oh, broke my fabric. I broke my thread. It happens. This is a super cheap machine. It is not the machine that you saw me using on Thursday for the giveaway stream. This is my $150 cheapo machine that I would never recommend to anyone that can't already use a sewing machine because it has issues. It has lots of quirks, lots of idiosyncrasies, let's say, that you really have to play around with. So you kind of have to know, like this morning I was doing binding and it was nesting a little bit underneath. Now, it was probably the thickness, so I actually had to change the tension in my bobbin, change the tension on top. I had to play around with a couple of things to get it perfect. I can use my expensive nice machine, and it does a lot of that automatically, but I don't want to put wear and tear on that machine if I can help it because it's expensive. So I'd rather put wear and tear on the cheap machine so that when this breaks, if something happens, I'm not going to fix it. I'm just going to throw it away because I can just get another one for the same cost as it takes to fix it. So, but don't get machines like this for your first one because they're finicky. All right, let's try this again. There we go. As I was saying, speaking of giveaways, I decided after the stream on Thursday what I'm going to do for the next giveaway. I'm going to do a full quilt kit. So you can always get my patterns. You can get my patterns as a digital download. You can buy the physical pattern through Quilt Exchange, or the method I prefer is your local sewing store or quilt store. I have sewing stores and quilt stores that carry my patterns listed on my site. If your local sewing or quilt store does not carry my patterns and you want them to, send them to my site and let them know they can buy wholesale through Quilt Exchange, and then you can buy the pattern from them. That supports the local store, it supports Quilt Exchange, and it supports me. All the things I love. So the giveaway is going to be the kit. The kits you can only get through me. You can get at a show, at a convention I do, or you can get them on my Etsy store. The kits are all the fabrics that I use to make the samples and the ones that I sell at conventions, the finished quilts. So if you like the fabrics, if you like the colors that I have, a kit gets you all those fabrics. I also have already done the first step of cutting the 2-inch and the 3.5-inch strips. So you have everything cut and ready for you to use. Ready for you to start stripping, ready for you to start cutting. And the price of the kit is the same price as the fabric as if you would have gotten it at the store. It does not include backing. It does not include batting, because batting is a very personal choice. And backing, I normally just do solid color Kona or Bella solids. You may want something fun. So the next giveaway is one of those kits, and it'll be a kit of your choice. So I need to get to 200 followers to do that giveaway. When I reach 200, we'll do another giveaway stream. One more. Oh, Zeal, if you have them right there, want to send me a picture of the fabrics that you picked for the Happy Puffball quilt? I always want to see pictures because I'm curious to see what fabrics people pick. that's it. That's all my strips. So I'm going to take my scrap fabric and put it back in there again. All right. First, let's separate all of these colors. All right, and before you start ironing these strips open, make sure you cut them in half. You were too excited and you wanted to make it right away. I completely understand the excitement. If you get a quilt kit in the future, they actually don't come from me in Canada. They come from a friend of mine that handles all my Etsy stuff in Chicago. So I believe she does 2-day priority shipping. So it would take 2 days, 2 business days. All right, so cutting. Whenever you're getting ready to iron them, take your strips and you cut them in half. And I always like working with the cut part to my left. It's just my preference. And then when you iron it, you iron them in opposite. So in this case, I'm ironing the seam towards that pink. So I'm ironing just the seam a little bit, and then I go back through and actually iron it through. So in this case, my seam is pointed up towards the pink. And then the next one, I'm ironing it up towards the black. So you're ironing the seams in opposite directions. There we go. And then you take this and you flip it. So the pink is going to line up with the pink, the black is going to line up with the black. And I'm going to nest my seams. A lot of the quilting and sewing from here on has to do with nesting. Nesting is where you have two pieces that are, the seams are in opposite directions and they kind of butt up right against each other. So you want to make sure they're nice and locked in there. So in this case, I'm making sure my seams are right up against. They're not over each other. They're not under. It's right up against each other. I took a picture of my fabric yesterday. Yeah, no, fantastic. Or if you want to drop them in here. I don't mind links in my chat. If you just want to drop the pic in here. Oh, it's the local fabric store. Is it a box chain store or is it a sewing and quilt store? All right, so as I'm cutting this, I'm cutting them in twos because I have 2 layers of fabric here. So with my Stripology ruler, I'm going to line it up along my seam. So I'm no longer lining it up along the bottom or the top. I'm actually looking at this seam right here and I'm lining it up along the seam. All right, and we're cutting our scrap at the end. Let's see, and this is the light. So I need, this is the salmon with black. I need 7 3.5s and 4 2s. So 2, 4, 6, 8. And then I need 4 2s. 2, 4. And just like that. I've got them all cut. I love this ruler. I know I keep saying that. It has sped up my rotary cutting so much. Now, if you have arthritis in your hand and you can't rotary cut, don't let that stop you. The Sizzix system can do the same thing. They have strips that you can sit and cut them. Okay, so those are done. Next, now this one's a half strip. Still cutting it in half. Still cut those in half. Oh no! Dang it! I was not paying attention and I sewed the fabric the wrong side to here, not the right side. You always want to do right sides together, and I put the wrong side on it. All right, where is my... I need some jelly beans. Jelly beans will make me feel better. All right, where'd my rotary cutter go? My seam ripper. Seam ripper. I think the cat knocked it off somewhere. You guys don't see it on the camera anywhere, do you? It's red. Seam ripper, hello, where are you? No, it's not down here. I may have to go into my stash of extra seam rippers. And yeah, I love this seam ripper so much. I bought a box of them. Alright, I'm going to go to my stash and get another one because I don't want to waste time looking for it. Now I gotta remember where I put the stash. Where is my big box of seam rippers? Huh! I can't even find my box of seam rippers. Don't you hate this? When you're so organized and you're like, you know what, I'm going to put this away here, and then you can't find it. Okay, there's, I know. Oh, I know. Did you get down because you wanted to show off for the camera? I know. You're a good girl. You're a good girl. Seriously, Tony, what are you doing to yourself? Sewing, quilting, and other fabrics or quilting sections. Oh, okay. Oh, it's one of those generalized fabric. Okay, I know what you're talking about. If you, did I not put it in there? No, I didn't put it in there. It should be right here. The cat must have knocked it someplace or moved it. You know, I swear I have a gremlin. I have a gremlin in here that takes my stuff and runs away with it. And her name is Hestia. Oh, okay, what, oh man. Zeal, what city do you live in? I'll see if there's a better store for you. Tony, what are you doing to yourself? Seriously, I can't do anything without a seam ripper. You know what? I'm gonna sew it again. I'm wasting time. I just want to sew it again. Alright, where is the... Here's another way of doing it. Marley, honey, the cat doesn't like you. Cat doesn't want to play. You know what? I bet it's underneath those pillows over there. I'll find it later. Alright, I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully I don't have to seam rip anything else because I can't seem to find it. When in doubt, just redo it. This will probably save me time anyways, than keep searching and then having to seam rip it. I'll have to show you my favorite seam ripper another time. Yeah, if you let me know the area that you live in, I can see if I can find you a store, a good quilting sewing store that'll have stuff. because I can look on my distributor sites for the fabrics that I prefer and see who carries them. But fabric shopping is fun. Let's try this again. You like my forced cheeriness? See? Okay. So, oh, well, you know, it actually would have been better if I then sent you a kit. If you're in Montreal, if anyone in Canada is watching this, if you ever want to buy a quilt kit, message me. Don't buy it through my Etsy store because I live in Ontario, so I can send it to you cheaper than if you got it from the States, and it would take less time. You live near Montreal. Montreal. You've got Ooh, Modern Fabrics. Fantastic. I got one. Got one for you. And it looks like it is in Montreal. Oh, it looks like this is right downtown. All right, let me pop back over to Twitch and pop that back in there. Take a look at that one. I think that's everything that you need. Because it's, they carry a lot of the Moda marbles that I've got here. And they've got a bunch of other things too, like batiks and other things that are great for my patterns. Okay, so I've ironed that towards the dark. I'm ironing this one towards the light. You're welcome. And that goes for everyone. If anyone wants me to find them a good sewing and quilt store, let me know. I mean, I like I said, I can look at all my distributors, I can take a look at that stuff, and I can find you someone good. Now, of course, if it's a store that carries my patterns, I know it's going to be a good store. Okay, so for this one, this is the combined light red with salmon, so I need 2 3.5s and 4 2s. So, 2 3.5s and 2 4 2s. Now, what I'm doing with all of these combined, I'm just setting them aside for now. I don't throw them away. I don't get rid of them. I don't put them in my scraps until I know that I'm not going to use them anymore. And, oops, I did that too fast. I apologize. Okay, what I have done, at this point now, I want to take them and separate them. Because this one, the seam's going towards the light. This one, the seam is going towards the dark. So I actually want to pick them up and separate them into 2 piles. So this one, it's going towards the light. This one's going towards the dark. And then the same thing with the little ones. So then this way, when I'm laying all my pieces out, I can grab the right piece that I need where the seam is facing the correct direction. There we go. All right, let's move on to the next one. Hopefully I didn't do that to any others and sew them on the wrong side. Yeah, when I can, when I travel, when I go around and I speak at quilt guilds, I speak at stores, I do trunk shows, I do classes. So that's also another thing. If you're a local quilt and sewing store, if you want me to teach classes there, let them know. I do travel. Especially when I'm already in town for a video game or comic book convention or pop culture convention. Alright, so black with light red. I need 2 3.5s and 1 2. Right. Now this one, I need 2 3.5s. I only need one of these 2s, but I'm going to keep both of them because I don't know which way I'm going to want that seam to go. So I'm keeping them both. And I'll just have one left over whenever I lay my pieces out. And we're back to the full-size strips with the red. There you go. Alright, and then the black and red, I need 5 3.5s and 6 2s. So 2, 4, 6, and then 6 2s. 2, 4, 6. And again, I said I needed 5 of the 3.5s, but I'm going to keep that extra one because I may or may not want it to face a certain direction for the seam. Oops. There we go. All right, 2 more left, and I'm going to start piecing. I can start laying things out. My schedule for the next week, I of course am doing Freddy today. Tomorrow I'm either going to do Leatherface or the Friday the 13th guy. I think his name's Michael too, I don't remember. And then Monday I have to do business stuff because I am leaving early Tuesday morning for Gen Con. Alright, green. Oh, I just need 2 2s. And then Wednesday, I'm going to live stream my setup from Gen Con. So I'm not going to stream it all Monday or Tuesday, but then Wednesday you can watch as we build our monstrosity, is what I call it. My big monstrosity. So we're going to build that. It'll be myself, my business partner Nicole, our friend Mark from Rice Hat Samurai, who makes fantastic jewelry, who is doing Gen Con with us. Jordan will be helping us, and my father. We look at Gen Con as our family vacations. My parents come out, and I bring Jordan. It's the only one of the year that I bring Jordan. Well, except for the local one. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to be doing IRLs from Gen Con. So I may be on for just like 5 minutes just to show you something really cool and quick. Or I may be on for an hour doing stuff. Like maybe we're tabletop gaming and I'm just going to stream it because I feel like streaming it. I don't know. So there's no schedule while I'm at Gen Con. It's just going to be popping in. So it may be more of a, hey, go back and try to check all those videos out and look at them. I am not going to upload any of the IRLs from Gen Con to my YouTube, but I will upload the convention setup. Okay, so yellow with black. I need 6 3.5s and 8 2s. 2, 4, 6, and then I need 2, 4, 6, 8. And then I'm going to take these and set them aside in case I need them, in case I miscounted something, which happens. And I've got all my pieces. So once all of your pieces are cut out, it's now time to lay everything out. So I don't need my scissors anymore. All right. Let's get this nice and square. We've got Freddie. All right, so the pieces I'm going to use more of. I'm going to use yellow. And I'm going to use black. I'm going to use red. And the red's going to go first. I can put that teal all the way up there because that's not going to do anything. And then these, I'm going to use more. Alright, let's do the yellow. And those, I'm setting all this aside because I'm not going to use any of these until the reds are gone. So whenever I finish the red, I'll then take these and fill them into the place. And then that way I don't have to worry about, oh yeah, I see colors. I don't have to worry about, I'm running out of room to lay all my pieces out. Especially that green. It's that one. And then those pinks. There's that one. And then I've got the nope, that's not it. The medium I've got, the dark I've got, the light I do not. Yeah, because here's the medium. And then there's the dark. I'm trying to think of the brand name of these. I don't use a lot of these anymore because these are actually the thread count is not as great, so I don't use them a lot unless the color. They really need to find that color. Yeah, but those are good choices. Those are yeah, nice choices. Okay, I'm gonna have some jelly bean, some water. Hi, Marley. Are you a cute boy? The cat doesn't want to play with you. In fact, she's sleeping, and she can ignore you because she's deaf. I know. Okay, let's do some laying out. Cut pieces of fabric. Okay, cut pieces of paper to hold my place. Alright, so number 1. Always pay attention to which way your seams point, because whenever you're laying out rows for a pixel quilt, you always want to make sure the rows are in opposite directions for the seam. That way, whenever you assemble the rows together, those seams are going to nest. They're going to lock up there really nicely. So I've got to pay attention to which way my seams are pointing. For the first row, my seams are pointing to the right. So this very first one, I have to make sure that this seam goes towards the black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reds. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I knew I didn't cut enough. I thought that was too low. I don't think I cut enough of those. I needed 11 of those. Oh, I tested in here, didn't I? Fantastic. All right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I love fabric shopping. I don't think I've gone in a quilt or sewing store in 2 years, unless I was teaching there or talking to them about my patterns. Because I went fabric shopping this morning, and this is how I do my fabric shopping. Isn't that cool? All the swatches. Yeah. So that's how I pick my fabrics. I've got the big swatches. Alright, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I need how many? 11. 6, 7. 8, 9. 10, 11. Okay, now let's do this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then a black. And then a red. Hey, honey. Okay, and I'm going to pin this because my seams need to go to the right, remember? So this is how you make sure your seams are going to go to the right. I do my pinning in a way that sets me up so that I can just sew it, iron it, and then pin it again without having to lay it all back out again. So, guys, stop playing. All right, fine, come here. Come here. They all want to say hi and get a TRAT. And I've got to clean the hair off of me. This is Marley. Are you happy? You said hi. Come here. This is Alfred. Oh, thank you for the kiss. I know. I love you too. Thank you. Oh, I know. You want to cuddle. Does Marley want to play and you're not in the mood to play? Yes. He's always wants to play, doesn't he? It tires you out, doesn't it, baby? I know. And Soleil. And Soleil. She doesn't, all she wants is the treat. She doesn't care about anything else. She just wants the treat. Okay. Treats. 1, 2, 3. So, I've got Marley, Alfred, Soleil, and here. Oh yeah, yeah, the Minky? Yes. Oh yeah, you just look through the samples. Shannon Fabrics has come out with a bunch of really cool Minkies lately. If you want to check out Shannon Fabrics. I think they've got swatches too. They're fantastic. Okay, all the hair is off, I can do it. Alright, so, like I said, I pin it in a way that sets me up for success to make sure that I sew it and iron it and do everything in a way that I don't have to waste time laying it out to make sure it all looks good. How I do that is I've laid them down in pairs because this is how I'm going to sew them. My seams are going to the right, so I'm going to pick up that fabric on the right hand side, flip it over the one on the left, and turn it and pin it on the right hand side. Right to left, and pin it. So if your arrow goes to the right, you want the right fabric to go over the left fabric. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't pin it, sew it, you know, go back and forth. This is just a way that I do it to speed it up, to make it faster. Next row. 1, 2, 6.5. One of these. One of these. One of these. And then one of these. Now you notice how I had a single lonely little piece here? I'm going to have one here too. Just set it there. Doesn't make a difference. In this case, this row, and the arrows are pointing to the left. So I need my my seam to go to the left. So the left fabric is going up over the right fabric, and then I'm pinning it on the left. So the way to remember it, the way the arrow goes, is the one that you flip and pin. So left over to the right, pin on the left. Yeah, the dogs, when they know that I'm down here and I'm talking to myself, they don't know what's going on. All they know is if I'm talking to myself, they can come and get attention and get shown off and then get a TRAT. They really like it when I'm talking to myself. And next, now the nice thing about this quilt that I really, really like is Nicole actually did this design. Nicole does a lot of my design work. So when she designed it in a way that will allow me to make 4 mini quilts and then just combine them all together. 1, 2, 3. Now in this case, these are ones where the seam needs to go back and forth. So I need to nest these seams whenever I sew them together. This one, the seam is pointing down. This one, the seam is pointing up. This one, the seam is pointing down. And then that way they're all going to nest. So 1, 2, 3, that's going towards the black. So I need to go towards the red with the small one. And then towards the black, towards the red. And then solid red, black, and then small piece. Okay, and this one seams are going to the right. Now I do try to show all of these little tips and tricks every time I piece my quilts. So you don't have to go through and watch every single of my past streams. You'll just have to watch the ones you want to. Although we do like to have story time. Story time's fun. And then to the right. You may notice I keep looking back and checking just to make sure that I am pinning this the right way. Alright. This is towards the yellow, so I need to go towards the red. 3.5 red. 2 red. And then the other, oops, I miscounted my red and black box. Hence why I save these. And this is why whenever we have new designs for the quilt line, I'll draw everything out, I'll do all the math, and then I'll make the quilt. Just to make sure, because every now and then I count wrong. And one of my worst pet peeves that I hate is when I buy a pattern and there's mistakes in it. It's like, figure that stuff out. Black. And then there's another red. And then single, single, black, and then background. Alright, now this one was a long one, so I'm just going to double check all my pieces. Yes, okay. Okay, that one's good. Alright, now I believe that's all of the red. Yes. So I can take away these extra pieces and I can lay out my other ones. There we go. And that's what I mean by whenever you use up one of the colors, then that's when you lay all the others out. Okay, now for this pass, there are 13 rows. No, 11 rows. Yeah, there's 11 rows in this mini quilt. So this one, I'm going to lay out 6 rows. And then after I finish sewing all this, I'll lay out 5 rows. Go 4, 5. So this is row number 5. And now we're getting to his face. Alright, so we need to go towards the light. I really wanted to use a batik for the darker salmon, and I'll show you this in the closer camera a little bit. See how that is kind of dyed differently? Batiks are, it's just a way that they've dyed the fabrics. And I really wanted to use that for this quilt, for this part of the quilt for Freddie, because I wanted his face to almost look like it's moving with the burn marks and with the pocks and yeah. Got that. And then combine together. Okay, that's towards the light. So towards the light. Black. There. And there. So I always try to think of fabric choices and how it's going to affect the way the quilt looks and laid out. Alright, so let me double check this one because this is another one with a bunch of them. So not only am I checking pieces, but I'm making sure I put the pieces the correct direction. I have a horrible, horrible habit of flipping pieces the wrong way. And then not catching it until the quilt is done. I think I gotta undo everything. Because I'm a perfectionist and it needs to be right. And hopefully, by starting the stream early, I can get this entire block done on this stream. So then tomorrow, would you guys, because the fourth one I'm not going to be able to do until I get back home after Dragon Con. So 3 weeks. 3 or 4 weeks. Which one would you rather see tomorrow? Would you like me to make the Friday the 13th one, or do you want Leatherface? And then the other one I'll do whenever I get back. Okay, and then last one I'm doing now. Light. And then 3.5. And then towards the light. There. There. And there. Okay, this is towards the left. What are you guys doing? Marley's trying to get into trouble. Alright, so I have them almost all laid out and pinned. Next is the sewing step. Okay. Alright, before I do sewing step, let me do some shout outs. So, show all. There we go. Two Wolf Design, Pink Pariah, Nerds and Crafts, Iron Bands Graham, and Craftiness is Key. Thank you very much for hosting me today. I super appreciate it. If you're watching, if you haven't followed any of those guys, check them out. Two Wolf Design is a it does a few things, t-shirt designer, things like that. Doesn't stream yet, but is planning on streaming soon. Pink Pariah and Nerds and Craft and Craftiness is Key are all guild members of mine. They're part of the Soviet team. So they're part of my team and they're amazing. Iron Bandsgram is also part of my team. She is another quilter. So she does a lot of embroidery work. So if you want to see more quilting, but a different style of quilting, definitely check her out. Check all their channels out. Love them all because I love them. Thank you. And if you're watching me on one of their streams, please feel free to pop on over here and hit follow. Because when I hit 200 follows, I am going to give something else away. Another quilt kit. Okay, so let's sew these together. I've got my scrap piece of fabric. I have now pulled it almost all the way out, so I can actually lift this up and pull my scrap fabric away if I want. Make sure, same thing like I did with the strips. When I lift up the presser foot, I'm taking the piece and I'm putting it right against that needle, and it's touching that metal piece on the right-hand side that shows me I'm doing an exact 1/4 inch. And then I'm getting rid of my scrap, so we're not going to use that one for a bit. I like how, okay, this is the only time where I like when my viewer numbers go down a little bit, because that means that you guys are checking out all the other ones I told you to check out. Alright, now, chain quilting, chain sewing. I'm constantly having something in the machine at all times, so I'm grabbing my next set. and for these, now, this is my cutting gizmo by Gypsy Quilter. I love it. It's fantastic. It is a faster way to separate your chaining than using scissors. So I'm going to make sure that these stay in a certain order so that it's going to make it faster whenever I iron it and then pin it again. So I'm starting from the back and moving forward. Now I'm taking the front now, and that very, very last piece that I sewed is now going to be the first piece on the bottom. So I'm taking my pins out. Let me put my pins over here. And here's my stack. And then I'm just going to set that right over there, and I'll show you how to iron those in a moment. Oh, I was going to say something earlier, and I got distracted. Me? Distracted? So I said before, the purpose of why I stream is I want to encourage sewing and quilting. Anyone can sew and quilt. I am not an artist. I suck at design and art. Suck at it. But I'm really good at math. So I am good at quilting. Because of that, I'm not good at art quilts. I suck at art quilts because I'm not an artist. If you're an artist, there's so many things with sewing and quilting you can do. It's just amazing. And then, if you're not an artist, you can still quilt. So there's no reason why everyone can't sew and quilt. So I want to encourage that. I also want to show everyone makes mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes. I sew probably about 100 hours a week. And I have for the past 5 years. I've been sewing for 8 years now. Yeah. But as much as I've sewn, I still make mistakes. That's okay. Mistakes are fine. I will tell you and show you when I make mistakes. I want to point them out to you. Because it's perfectly fine. And I say that because I will get, I'll get people at conventions sometimes that come up and they'll look at my quilts and they'll go, oh, I wish I could do something like that. And I'm like, well, you can't. I have a pattern. And they say, oh, I can't quilt or sew. I'd make too many mistakes. It's okay. Mistakes are fine. And again, I'm working from the back forward. Whenever I'm using this, and then taking the pins out. Oh. I keep looking at the time because I've got to be done by 3. I'm in Eastern, so it is 1:34 for me right now. Because we have plans at 3:30. I asked my husband, I was like, can I go over? He goes, we'll see. So I'm trying not to go over in time. But I really, really want to finish this block. I want to show you the entire block in this stream. I don't want to finish it tomorrow. I want to finish it today. And then tomorrow's stream is going to be around the same time. It's going to be 1 to 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I will do a third block. Okay, so ironing. Now, this is the order that I iron them in. Remember I said that the last piece that I sew is that first piece down on the bottom. So now I'm going to lay them out right to left. And then I'm going to iron the seams up. Because remember, I want my seams to be ironed in one direction. I do not want to iron my seams open. Because I want to try to nest those seams together. Now when I pick them up, I'm going to pick them up from the left. So the left is now going to be on top. And I'm going to look down here. I'm going to say, okay, my seams point to the right. So I turn it to the right. And you know what that's the first and second piece. So it's all in the order it's supposed to be. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, here's the thing. I've got 5 pieces. I need to make sure that I include all the pieces that I can. So that first piece is longer than that last piece. So I'm going to pick this first piece up, set it aside. I learned so much. That's awesome. That is fantastic. And I love plush. In fact, where's the pattern? I met a plush pattern designer in May who is freaking awesome. So the patterns are called Funky Friends Factory. Isn't that cute? I have never ever made a plush before. This is Patch the Pussycat. I've never made any plush before, but I'm like, you know what? These are so stinking cute. I have a sloth. Yeah, there's so many. This is Funky Friends Factory. So if you check their site out, you can see all their different plush stuff. So plush is something that I have always wanted to do that I've never done that I kind of want to do. It kind of be fun. Oh, I was going to do it automatically instead of showing you and teaching you. All right, so now I have that first piece off. I have taken it and I've tilted it so I can grab them easier. I'm taking this first piece off and I'm flipping it over and I am pinning it on the bottom. So first piece, flipping it over, pinning it on the bottom. And I'm going to iron everything. Alright, now this, I only have 3 pieces on my ironing board. I've got 1 there, so it's an even number. So I don't have to worry about leaving any pieces out. Pieces don't have to feel left out. That's always nice. It's always nice when you can include all pieces. See, and there's something about the sewing machine as it's going. It gives me, it helps me think better, and it gives me ideas, and it relaxes me. There's something about running a sewing machine and sewing that just really, really, really is good, and it relaxes me a lot. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fantastic. And I'm going to show you one of these seams up close in a moment. So remember when I was laying these pieces out, I said that, you know, the one piece is facing, the seam needs to go in the one direction, and then the other one, it needs to go in the other direction. Whenever you nest your seams, see how nice and seamless that is? You can almost not even tell that there's a seam in the middle. It almost looks like it's a one straight line, but these are 2 different pieces sewn together. So when you nest your seams, It's better for piecing, to make sure that you have, as they in the quilting term, perfect precision piecing. A little bit of alliteration for you. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no! Alright, I am going to sew this one first, because everything up to this point has been stuff where I just have to do one more pass. Oh, here's a good one that shows you the precision piecing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 seems to go to the left. In this case, the last piece is the same size as the first piece, so I'm going to do the same thing as this, so I don't confuse myself, and remove the first piece. Come on. My nails are super thick, so it's hard for me to pick up the pins sometimes. I have her make them thick because, I don't know if you've noticed, but yes, I use my nails as a stopper for the pins. So I hold my nail there and I use it to stop my pins. It's not a good habit, but it allows me to actually put the pins in a little faster. So when I get my nails done, I ask her to make them thick. 3, 4, 5, 6. There's nothing on the board. Alright, so it looks like I just have that one. Okay, and this one, the seams go to the right. Yeah, and like I said, Zeal, whenever you start, if you decide to start streaming again, if you decide to start streaming all your plush making, that's something that I would be interested in watching. I think that'd be pretty cool. There are not a lot of sewers on Twitch that aren't cosplayers. Most of the sewers on Twitch are cosplayers, which is cool and fantastic, and I love watching how they make cosplay. But I want to see other things too. I want to see all sorts of different kinds of sewing. Alright, so I said this one was the odd duck. So I'm going to sew that one first. I like jelly beans. Oops. Alright, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's going to be another odd duck. So I'm going to sew, pin, iron, pin, and sew this one again. so this one is to the left. Now, in this case, the top one is longer than the bottom one, so I'm going to remove the top piece, set it aside. Okay, and then I'm going to start at the very beginning again. Yes. No. Nope, I said I was going to start with it. I was going to sew this again. Dang it! And let me use this again to entail that. I'm like, why am I doing that? I wanted to... I said I would sew this other one. Oh, that's awesome. Now, but the question is, would anyone at your job watch your stream? If they don't, stream it. Okay, and then this one is first one. Oops, my water's getting low. Okay, so that's this one. So this one seems to go to the left. There we go. Now I can do that first one. I confuse myself sometimes, and I'm just like, I don't know why I do it. And you know what? Every now and then I'm looking around going, where's that seam ripper? It'll pop up eventually. Where's my calculator? I don't know how that fell down. Probably the cat. Don't let her innocent cuteness of sleeping over there distract you from the evil that hides inside. Yeah, there's some things that I do that I'm not allowed to stream because I do secret projects for fabric releases. Those I can't stream. Wish I could. All right, this is to the left. It's just a matter of what do you want to do, and then do it. If that's something that you want to stream and share with the world, then do it. If it's something you want to keep a secret, that's fine too. Okay, now this should be the last pass to sew before combining rows. Because they're all either 2 or 3. So that means that I can sew them all together in one more pass. Come on. There we go. My pedal keeps moving. I should put some Velcro on the bottom, but then it will start to pull up its carpet. I just realized I have a ton of windows open. Why do I have all these windows open? There we go. No clue why I had all those windows open. One, two, three. Okay, let's start ironing. Great, and seams go to the right, and remember this was the first piece, so it goes on top. Now whenever you've got 3 pieces, this is how you do it. So you flip over the first piece, pin the left, flip over the last piece, pin on the other side. But now you've got something with on both ends that you can sew on both ends. And it's a lot faster and more efficient. Okay, and this is to the left. Now this row is going to get pinned to the first row. So I want to make sure that these two are put together. You always want to make sure that your seams are going up. So if your pieces have the seam going up here, you have to flip it because when you're looking at your piece, your seams are pointing down, and then as you iron them, they're going to go up. So if you see any seams, if they're pointing up, that's fine. Flip it over so they point down, so when you iron it, they then point up. That makes sense. It makes sense in my head, at least. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This is 4, so seams go to the left. And there's the next 2 rows. So in this case, see how the seams are pointing up? I'm going to take these and I'm going to flip it over so that when I look at the seam in front of me, it looks like it's pointing down. So that whenever I iron it, it now points up. And that just makes sure that all your seams are going in the same direction so that whenever you're assembling the rows, they're going to nest nicely. Okay, and then now I need that one to combine with this one. So I'm going to actually move these up just a touch. And I'm going to sew this one. So this morning I took Marley over to one set of my in-laws because they have a couple of Bernese Mountain Dogs and they just got another puppy. The puppy is still bigger than Marley, and Marley loves playing. It seems like all he wants to do is play. Play, play, play. So I took him over there to play with the puppy, and poor puppy was a little overwhelming for him. Because the puppy's bigger than he is. And she's just a puppy. So of course, you know, she went to take her paws and bat at him, and it was very cute. Okay, seams go to the left. There you go. Okay, now it's time for rows to have the finished rows to pin them to each other and then set them aside until I have all the rows done. How I do this is with my clothing rack. So I've got a drying rack. Let me put it together. There we go. And let's set that right there out of the way. Cleaning the house time. Fantastic. Have a fantastic day, Zealnon, and thanks for popping in. I appreciate it. Just a single. Okay, so I've got these. Now, we have to make sure that I see where my seams are pointing. So again, I want to make sure my seams are pointing down as it faces me. Because then as I iron it, they're pointing up. And when you do it for the first time, you'll look at it and go, oh, that's what she means. All right, now this row, my seams point to the right. This row, my seams point to the left. So then I'm going to take my bottom one, and I'm going to flip it up over that top one, and I'm going to find where these seams nest. So in this case right here, here's a seam, and they're going in opposite directions. So I'm going to nest them in there together, make sure they're nice and tight. They're not, so they're butt up right against each other. They're not over top of each other, and they're not far apart. They're locked in there, nice and tight. And then I'm going to put a pin in it. And then I'm going to go back through and put pins everywhere else that there are no seams. So let me move along. Wow, there's no, okay, there it is. So there is a seam right here. Now, all of these seams here that you see, there's no seam along the bottom. So what I have to do is put pins in there, because as I'm sewing, I don't want this fabric to shift, and I do not want these seams to flip up, because if they flip up and fold as I'm sewing it, it's going to cause extra bulk in the back of my my quilt top, so that whenever I quilt it, it's going to cause some issues. Same thing along the bottom. So there's a few seams on the back fabric where I had to make sure to put some pins in there. So here's nested seams. There's nothing there, so I can move on. Nested seams. Okay, that's a seam there. And that's the only seam. And then I'll put one on the end. Alright, so I've got my two strips that have been pinned together. So I'm going to lay it just there, just like that, and set it aside until I'm ready for it. Did I take the pins out? Nope. I didn't think I took the pins out. Ooh, that's a red hot one. I like those. Okay, so my seams are pointing down that I can see. Alright, so apparently I didn't line a couple up the right way. My seams weren't quite nested in there right. You see how it looks off a little bit? No one is going to see that in the finished quilt unless I point it out to them, because there is a 3-foot rule. If you ever make something and you make a mistake, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I like that, stand back 3 feet. You can't see it, no one's ever going to notice. Alright, so this seams go to the left, so that means this one seams go to the right. I guess Jordan's back for rugby, and the dogs are all excited. I can hear them racing upstairs. Guys, you don't have to play down here. You're very cute, though. So, here's my second one. Now I'm making sure that I move this over so I can see that this is my first 2 rows, this is my second 2 rows. Now, I need to free this. I have 2 options. I can either use my scrap fabric and put it in there to free it. Marley and Alfred, shush. I can put my scrap fabric in there, or I am going to work ahead and just take this piece right here and sew it. Go. Get my pins out. Hello.
Hi. Who is causing trouble?
Marley and Alfred.
What'd they do?
Playing, making all sorts of noise. They're both troublemakers, especially that one right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now you may have noticed the last 2 rows, I actually moved this around so I can only see the rows that I'm combining. So same thing here. Now I only see the 2 rows that I'm sewing together. So this one seems to go to the right. This one seems to the left. I'm working on Freddy right now. Freddy Krueger from the Horror Quilt. I finished Michael yesterday, and no one's given me any options. I asked the question, and no one gave me an opinion. Tomorrow, I can either work on the guy from Friday the 13th, or I can work on Leatherface.
Edward Scissorhands?
Nope. He's not a horror. He's not in horror movies.
I don't watch horror movies every day. Sounds pretty horror-y.
Have you ever seen Edward Scissorhands?
No.
No, it's not a horror movie.
Sounds like it.
It's not, though.
Well, you got all 3 troublemakers.
Yes, I know. Okay, we need to add that to the movies that you need to watch.
Yeah.
You believe that this child has never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show? I must suck at parenting you.
Mm.
We're going to watch it.
Mm.
I'm going to get it, and we're going to watch it.
Mm.
Yes. And you will love it. It is fantastic. Trust me. So at Dragon Con, that's the one in Atlanta, the sci-fi fantasy convention I'm going to, they have a 1 a.m. showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show. Remember how I said that if you're in the audience, you participate and you bring props and you throw things and you do things and you sing along and you do all sorts of things? I've never actually seen it live. I've never seen it like that before. So I'm thinking I may go.
At 1 a.m.
Yeah.
No.
I know. You believe that I'm going to do something at 1 a.m.? I'm actually going to stay awake? I know, right? I think I'm going to do it.
I just stay up till
Well, because Imperial Girl's going, and a bunch of other Twitchers are going, and I'm like, I think I want to go. That'd be fun. Alright. Next one. Oh, hey, we got to Freddy's eyes.
Oh, wow.
Alright, last 5 rows. I miscounted my block pieces.
Oh snap.
I still need 2 more.
Uh-huh.
See? But that is why I put all that over there. And straight edge, there it is. Okay, I need 2 more.
Slay.
Is she being a pest?
She's digging.
She's what?
Digging for food.
Okay, combo. Combo with the darker on top. That's going towards the light, so this needs to go towards the light. And then I need to go towards the green.
Okay.
That one.
Where can we put some?
Black.
Marley's getting jealous of the cat.
Yes. He gets jealous of everything. Okay, that's going towards the black, so I need to go towards the black. I love running out of pieces. And then I go towards the black for here, because that means that I am doing my job. And then there and there. Okay, so there.
Making the cat move.
Yes, I know. That's okay. She jumped down and ate some food earlier, so it was just a cat perch cam instead of a cat cam.
Every time I come down, she wakes up. So.
Well, because she loves you. She's your cat.
Yeah.
You should brush her.
Oh, I'm petting her right now.
Yes, but she needs brushed.
Yeah, but she's so lovely right now.
Yes, I know, and she loves being brushed.
But my hands are on her head, petting her. So. Alright, I'm gonna go upstairs and read.
Okay. You don't want to brush the cat?
Oh.
You don't want to help me quilt?
Plead the fifth.
Now, in this first row that I'm laying out, seams point to the right-hand side. Good. Troublemaker went upstairs. Talking about Marley.
Right?
To the right.
Yeah, well, no,
Okay, and then this one. All right, seam needs to go towards the yellow. Black. 1, 2. That's towards the light, so I need to go towards the dark. And I miscounted that one. Man, I'm sucking on this one today. I am just miscounting all sorts of pieces. Okay, I need the light pink and black. There it is. Oh. Stay. Okay. This went towards the black, so I need to go towards the light. And then I go towards the black. And now, here's the first time where I've run into this, where I need this piece to go towards this salmon colored fabric, because this one's going up towards the black, but this piece is going towards the black as well. Re-iron it. Just iron the seam the other direction. It's not going to hurt anything. And then it's going to nest in there. And then black. And then towards the black. Okay, so okay, there's two. Next. And I'm done with all of the skin ones. Okay, one. So I've got that one. Oops. There. There. There and there. One, two, three. Perfect. This is to the right. Now, I may not be able to finish him today. I keep looking at the time going, it's going to be close. Okay, so whatever I don't finish today, I will do tomorrow. And then I'll also do another block. Okay, this is to the left. I know I'll at least get through all of the rows. I'll get the rows finished. Okay, and then the last row, I need two. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. And this is to the right. And that's it. That's all my rows, and there's no pieces over. So that is perfect. Now, I did mess up a couple of times where it didn't count the pieces right. Which is, again, why I set aside some of those pieces so I can cut them again if I need to. Oops. I dropped a pen on the floor. There we are. And I'm putting this right back where I got it. I got a tickle in my throat. Whew. Alright, so I'm going to do this one a little differently than I did the first time for laying them out, because when I was sewing this stack, I counted 7 pieces. So that tells me that this is going to be the only oddball, and everything else is going to be 6 and under. So I'm just going to go ahead and iron it and repin it, sew it again now. Okay, and then this was the first one, so seams go to the right. Now, the first piece, they're the same size. I'm going to take away the very first one. There we go. Alright. Yep, because this one only has 5. Two, 3. Alright, so this was the second one. Because remember, I redid that first one, so that one's in the machine. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm going to resew that piece. So as I was sewing it, it kind of went wonky a little bit. It's not a good 1/4 inch seam. So I'm going to go back and start sewing again about halfway through and resew that seam. Okay, so that was the first one. Whenever I go out of order like that, sometimes I mess it up and I put them in the wrong spots. I like to confuse myself, apparently. I get asked at conventions all the time if I talk to myself while I'm sewing when I'm not streaming. Yes. Yes, I do. Because whenever, especially when I'm laying those pieces out, I want to make sure that they're laying out in a certain way, certain order. So especially like when I say, oh, the seam needs to go this way, the seam needs to go that way. Yeah. I do that stuff whenever I'm not streaming. It keeps me, keeps it straight in my head. start ironing and putting these together. Two, three, four. Four, five. Okay, so this one has 5. And the first and last pieces are the same size. So, the seams go to the left. I'm going to take that first piece. One, two, three. This one goes to the right, and that one is a 4th one. So it'll just get picked up. I don't have to worry about any lonely pieces all by themselves. You know what? I'm going to free that one by sewing one of these rows. I was just thinking about that. Because I've got to sew those rows anyway, so I may as well sew them to free it. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So this one is fine for the final pass. Okay, seams go to the left. Remember with 3s, I want to pick up the top one, flip it over, pin it. And then I'll pick up the back one, flip it over, turn it and pin it. Okay, this is to the left. And this is another 3. So this one's ready for the final pass as well. There you go. Okay, let's free that one. Take all the pins out. So I'm only going to sew 3 of those because 3 of those will need another pass after. And when I say pass, it means I'm running the whole things through the sewing machine. Oh, I've got that. Okay, so let's grab the second one. Oops. Why is my pedal all the way over there? Stay there, pedal. I am almost done with the last few rows. And then let's take this last one here and run it through. See, the whole point of the chaining while you're piecing is just constantly having something going through the machine. Here you are. And let's finish ironing these pieces. So this is to the right. And this one's going to be combined with the row above it. So we're going to set that aside. This one's going to be a 3. So I'm going to use the middle piece and pin the other two to it. Okay, so this one goes to the left. And this one's on top. Now, whenever you have a 3 and then one that's just a single, I always put the 3 on top because then I can sew one side, sew the single, flip this around, sew the other side. And it's just easier that way. Okay, this is the 3rd row, so seams go to the right. Okay, and this one's already done, so that can go on top. Yeah, you notice this one's a lonely little one all by itself? That's fine. I have an odd number of rows. Remember I said I had 11 rows? So the first time I did 6 rows, and then now this time I'm doing 5 rows. Oops. Come on. There we go. I'm going to flip this around just like I said I would. And then now the next one. Okay. Now with these, remember, whenever you are ironing them, you want the seams to point down that you can see, because then after you iron it, the seams are going to point up. Okay, now I'm only looking at these 2 rows. So this one, the seams go to the right. This one, seams go to the left. Yep, it looks good. I thought I dropped the pin. Yeah, I'll find it later. So remember, you are finding where the seams nest, put a pin in it, and then go back and pin the rest of the single seams that don't nest with anything. Go. And then let me put this one in here to free this one. Oops, that way. I did those 2, now I'm looking at these 2. Okay, this one seams should go to the left. This one seams go to the right. Yep, that lines up, that's his hat. And now comes my favorite part of pixel quilting. So the biggest problem with pixel quilting is it's very hard to see the overall end picture as you're doing it. You just have to trust that the rows that you're looking at are correct, and what you do here matches those rows. And this point, whenever you start assembling rows together, is now the point where you can start to see the picture. So let's finish sewing these rows. I'm out of bobbin thread. I knew it was going to happen soon. It's not a big deal whenever you're piecing, because you can just stop and pick up exactly where you left off. And yes, I pre-wind all my bobbins to save time. Nope. That is not, my tension is not good. Okay, so let's redo that. And let's redo this. Because something is off, because my tension is off. And my tension was perfectly fine today until now. Okay, let's try it again. That's a much better tension. So I don't know if it was the bobbin or if it was the top thread, but it's fine now. And the last row. Now the piece that I have in there right now, the 3, I'm going to make sure I put far enough over where I don't think this goes in front of the one that's in the machine right now. I'm just going to set that all the way over there. And I'm going to put my scrap fabric in here to free this up so I can work on this. Because now I should have 6 total pieces. So I can include that lonely little row that's all by himself. It's only a single pixel tall instead of 2 pixels tall. There we go. And that is where I'm going to stop for today. Because sewing these rows together is going to take me 30 minutes. And I don't have 30 minutes, so I don't want to start it unless I can finish it. So tomorrow's stream, I am going to pick up where I left off here. I'm going to assemble all these rows, and then I'll get started on the next one. And I'll just ask, if I haven't decided, I'll let you guys pick which one I'm going to work on. I don't know. Who knows? But I'll do one of those 2, the top 2 tomorrow, and then I'll do the other one when I get back from Dragon Con. Again, streaming tomorrow, then Wednesday, set up for Gen Con, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, on and off streaming, no clue when, no clue what, just live at Gen Con is what I'm going to do. And then, yeah, so then I'll see you guys later. So thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate it. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Time.